Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to highlight a huge new Steam sale that has just dropped a ton of new historic low game deals. Actually, we got two Steam game sales to go over. We got the Square Enix Tokyo Game Show 2025 sale, and we've got the Dragon Ball franchise sale. The Square Enix sale in particular has a lot of phenomenal deals, and obviously games that are right up my alley. There are some historic lows that are a part of the Square Enix sale, so like I said, a lot of good stuff. So let's just get right into it with the Square Enix sale. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are both on sale. Rebirth is 40% off for $42. Remake is $24, which is an actual historic low for Remake. If you just want to get Remake, I would just get Remake and Rebirth. The twin pack is $60, and yes, dropping $60 on any game, or even any game bundle, that's a lot. However, when there are games at the quality level of FF7 Remake and Rebirth, it is very much worthwhile. Now, ultimately, you can pick up Remake, decide whether or not you like it, and then decide on picking up Rebirth. Down the line, Remake itself is like a 40-50 hour long game, especially with the intermission expansion that is included in there. Rebirth was my second favorite game of 2024 behind Metaphor. I thought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was outstanding. Did it have its issues? Yes, some of the side content was absolutely an abomination, but for the most part, the game is outstanding, and I would recommend it. And Remake I really liked as well. I know a lot of people aren't as crazy about FF7 Remake. You know, Rebirth improved it on so many different areas, but you gotta play the game sequentially, so definitely recommend that. Next up, we have Final Fantasy XVI, also at a historic low price point, 40% off for $29.99, while the Complete Edition is 40% off for $41.99. You can get the expansion pass for $14.99 as well if you previously picked up the base game. I love Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI is one of those games that's in my kind of comfort food game category, that if I don't know what to play, like Final Fantasy 16 is always there, Red Dead Redemption 2 is always there, Assassin's Creed games are always there, the older Assassin's Creed games, like, to me, FF16 is phenomenal, and you could totally make the argument that it's a bad Final Fantasy game, although what does that really mean? The Final Fantasy games are all different from one another. Yes, from an RPG standpoint, it is fairly simplistic. There is not a lot of fine-tuning and customization options available, but the stylish action gameplay is so well done. Sometimes you need a game, or you want a game that is just an absolute juggernaut in terms of its technical presentation, in terms of the scale, in terms of the sheer epicness of the game. And if that's something you care about, which there's nothing wrong with, I feel like there's this people that want to be all high and mighty, be like, oh, you're a simpleton for liking Final Fantasy 16 or something like that. It's like, dude, I like the other RPGs, but sometimes, you know, some days I want chocolate, other days I want vanilla. You know, it's that kind of deal with Final Fantasy 16, and for me, I really liked it. I dug the story. Clive was an awesome character. Yes, can you say the cutscenes are too long? You gotta know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to the Final Fantasy games. Like, brother, you're getting into some long cutscenes. Like, I don't know what to tell you about that. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and quite possibly some of the best boss fights in terms of presentation and scale that I've ever seen in a video game. I actually think it might be the best. I don't think any game has really topped it. In terms of the icon fights in this game, it's outstanding. But yeah, I definitely understand why it's not for everyone, but I loved it personally. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, 35% off for $39. We are coming up on the release of DQ 1 and 2 HD Remaster, so not a bad time to check that out. Nier Automata, Game of the Yorha Edition, 65% off for $14. Excellent deal for that. A franchise that Square Enix should do much more with, given the fact that, you know, you have an IP that's a juggernaut like Nier, or, you know, a perceived juggernaut to an extent. When Nier Automata came out, the game was pretty big for a IP that wasn't that big prior to Automata coming out, and I get that they did Replicant, but they could do so much more with Nier as an IP, so hopefully they do that at some point. Octopath Traveler 2 is 60% off for $24. That's an outstanding deal as well. People want to talk about how they want more turn-based RPGs. Well, Octopath Traveler is a damn good one that deserves more support. Now, I get it, a lot of people that say that just want turn-based Final Fantasy, which you're totally in your right to want that, but Octopath Traveler is great. Definitely check that out. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is $19.99. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster games are on sale. Final Fantasy VII, $4.79 on that. Download the Echo S mod, and it's a great time. The OG FF7 is still very much worthwhile to play, and like I said, Echo S, adding full voice acting, improved visuals, all that good stuff. $4.79 for that is great. Nier Replicant is $21. Final Final Fantasy IX is $8.39. Maybe we'll finally get that remake sometime in this life. Romancing Saga 2 is $30. I know people love that game, so take that for what you will. Visions of Mana is $36. That's way too expensive for that. I get that it came out just a year ago, but that should be down to like $20 at this point. Fantasia Neo Dimension 40% off for $29.99. I really dug Fantasia Neo Dimension. It's definitely not for everyone, given the fact that it is an upgraded release of what was a mobile RPG, but I feel like just saying it used to be a mobile game does it very much a disservice. Like, mobile games have gotten, like, pretty good, and this was an Apple Arcade game. It was, I believe they signed a partnership with Apple to get it as, like, a seller for Apple Arcade, and it's a well-done JRPG. I liked it. Definitely a little bit smaller in scale and a lower budget, but overall had a good time with it. Soundtrack is great as well. Bravely Default 2 is $24, Harvestella $24, Neo The World Ends With You $24, criminally underrated game, phenomenal soundtrack in that game as well. I want to do another playthrough of that game at some point. I just loved it, but it'd be nice if we got the original World Ends With You. I get it, the controls on that game would be maybe a little bit difficult to adapt, but they could figure it out. They figure these things out. Square can figure that out, and I think a lot more people would check that out if it did get ported. Star Ocean, the second story, are $24.99 on that. That's a great game as well. Great HD 2D look for that remake. Stranger in Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is $16. Valkyrie Elysium for $24, is it? Yeah, that's way too expensive for that, just being honest with you guys. Then you got the classic Final Fantasies on sale, FF10, FF12, FF13. You guys know me, I love Final Fantasy 13, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. Yeah, my takes on Final Fantasy, as much as I love the franchise, and everybody knows I love the franchise, like, a lot of my takes would have me sent to the gallows, because I love the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, or at least so far, which a lot of people think the remake went a little bit too out there and a little bit too wild, but I think most people do really like it. But then I love Final Fantasy XIII, which is one of the most divisive Final Fantasy games in history, although I feel like the perception on that game has shifted a little bit, where people look back at that and a lot of people do appreciate it. Like, I thought Final Fantasy XVI, like I said, was awesome. It always feels like the Final Fantasy games, when they come out, there is a bit of that prisoner of the moment vibe to it, where the game comes out, it's not like their favorite Final Fantasy game from the past, and then people will crap on it. Happened with 13, happened with 15, and I have my criticisms on 15, but 15's a game that I think people go back and enjoy, and happened with 16 as well. And maybe that's a standpoint of, hey, the people that hated 13, they moved on with their lives. The people that hated 15 moved on with their lives. At this point, the people that hated 16 moved on with their lives. It's not like a decade from now they're going to continue talking about the game, and the people that are talking about 13, north of a decade since it came out, those are the people that are fans of it. I totally get that. Final Fantasy is always going to be a divisive series, man. Every entry, I feel like, is going to be super, super divisive, because it's not going to be the title that is an individual's favorite, but I digress. I think the franchise is great, and I've really enjoyed damn near every single game out of this series. Like, every mainline game I've at least found some enjoyment out of, so there you go with that. Dragon Quest XI is $19.99. The Mana games are discounted. Saga Frontier 2, sleeper there, 25% off for $22.49. You got Star Ocean, Last Hope at $6.29. Divine Force at $24. Those games are more, middle of the pack. Chrono Cross, Radical Dreamers is $7.99 as well. A lot of games from Square Enix, a lot of discounts. I didn't even go over everything, but some good stuff for sure. Then lastly, we do have the Dragon Ball franchise sale. Obviously, not as many Dragon Ball games as there are Final Fantasy and Square Enix games, but Sparking Zero, 43% off for $39.89. This is a historic low for Sparking Zero, which has lost a lot of steam, let's be honest here. That game was, I use the term prisoner of the moment. Like, games that are driven by nostalgia, always going to be prisoner of the moment, and they're going to fall off some of the hardest, because after you get through that initial, okay, my nostalgic itch was scratched, what do you got for me after that? And I think Sparking Zero was a pretty good game. A lot of content in its single-player component with all the different campaigns and whatnot, but just doesn't have that level of interest like it did. But nonetheless, 43% off on that. Kakarot is 25% off for $14.99. That game is awesome. Daima Edition is $39.99. Master Edition is $79.99. That includes the new Daima DLC as well as the other pieces of DLC as well. Let me check something. Yeah, the Daima DLC is $35, so hefty price point on that. DLC, I feel like, that's one of the things a lot of people don't be talking about. DLC, I feel like, is getting more and more expensive. Like, that Assassin's Creed Shadows DLC, that's one piece of DLC for $25? Kakarot's Daima DLC. Part 1 is $19.99. Part 2 is going to be $19.99. You can get both for $35. Like, these pieces of DLC, you guys, I feel like this is kind of an underrated story in gaming, that DLC is getting more and more expensive. They're too afraid to up the $70 price tag, but these DLCs be getting more and more expensive. So take that for what you will. You got Xenoverse on sale, Fighters on sale, so check all that out. Link to that in the description box below as well. But that's gonna do it for me. 2 big new sales, a lot of historic low deals, and a lot of good stuff across the board. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate it if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.